Hey, before we start, I want to set the table because context here matters, and I have the tendency of rambling. This isn't about party lines. It's not about personalities, headlines, or who is trending today. It's about Illinois and the people who live here. Across this state, people are working hard. They are raising their families. They're building businesses, and they are paying taxes. And a lot of them are asking the exact same questions. Why does it feel harder than it should? They see population numbers declining, not because Illinois lacks potential, but because opportunity feels heavier to carry. They see property taxes rising while the return on that investment feels unclear. They see small businesses stretched thin, navigating regulation, uncertainty, and cost, often without a real seat at the table. They hear conversations about public safety, accountability, and enforcement, and wonder how decisions translate into real life in real communities. And they see a constant tension between state leadership and federal influence and local impact with everyday people stuck in the middle. These aren't complaints shouted into the void. They're reasonable questions from people who care enough to stay, invest, and believe that this state can do better. So today isn't about accusations. It's about understanding. It's about responsibility. It's about how decisions are made and how they affect real lives outside a press release. Because when leadership works, it should be explainable. And when it isn't, public deserves clarity. That's why we're here. That's why this conversation matters. And that's why we're asking questions. So welcome to the Beyond Business podcast, where we explore not just how people succeed, but how they lead, how they think, how they propose to change the world we live in. Today's episode is a bit different. We've invited two public figures whose decisions, if elected, would impact every business owner, family, and taxpayer across the state. Darren Bailey, a lifelong Illinois resident, farmer, former member of both the Illinois House and Senate, and the Republican nominee for governor in 2022 against J.B. Pritzker. He's returning to vie once again for the state's top office, bringing with him the perspective of rural Illinois and legislative experience in Springfield. And alongside him on the ticket, Mr. DelMar, a seasoned political leader and strategist who has served as chairman of Cook County Republican Party and has decades of experience at both local and countywide levels, from being the youngest ever councilman in Palatine to leading party operations and grassroots efforts across the suburban Cook County. Together, they've unveiled what they're calling a blueprint for Illinois, a set of policy goals aimed at addressing the state's high cost of living, government inefficiencies, and what they describe as wasteful spending. Whether you're frustrated with taxes, curious about leadership choices, or just want real answers instead of slogans, this episode is for you. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to the Beyond Business podcast, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time while you're on quite a lengthy trip of going around the state and kind of just seeing, people. So is the trick, so do we just look at Chicago and go, they're going to be the ones who vote for J.B. Pritzker, so we have to get everyone else to come out and vote? I mean, is that a really narrow way to look at it, or is it kind of?
Well, that's right up my alley. That's probably why I'm sitting here with you today with Darren Bailey. You know, most people always ask us when we're out on the trail, how do you win Cook County? How can you and Darren win Cook County? And the answer is this: we don't need to win Cook County. There's 102 counties in the great state of Illinois. 97 of them ruby red. I mean red. It's the 5 collar counties and a little chunk in the Metro East, which are heavily blue, but they're well populated. The goal for us is to take 28% out of the city of Chicago and Cook County. 28% is the number, and the rest of our state will carry us up. Our brothers and sisters will come out and vote for us, and that's what it takes to win statewide here in Illinois. So, what we need is a 55% voter turnout in every of those red counties.
So in the past, what kind of turnout do we get? I know locally I've kind of been paying attention to our local stuff, and it was, I think like 6,000 of 65,000 last election.
Yeah, school board elections and municipal elections typically run 15 to 20%. 2022, I mean, we had the momentum across the state. It felt like victory. Before we came down to Springfield for our watch party, we were in the train stations at Chicago, and people were coming off those trains. They knew who we were, and they said, "You've got to save this state for my children." And we just knew it was a done deal. So we come to Springfield, and we're having our victory party. Everybody probably remembers 2 minutes until 7 o'clock. 2 minutes before the polls closed, AP News called it. Just said, it just a blurb. J.B. Pritzker is going to have 4 more years. We get on the phone with AP News, and we're like, hey, wait a minute. Well, you guys have messed up. And they told us, they said, listen, we've been doing this for about 100 years. We've got a few key precincts that we watch across the state. There's a 40% turnout. We already know that J.B. Pritzker spent $35 million on early mail-in voting, and he had a pretty significant return on that. So he's got the bottom third packed in. They said there is 0% any way, shape, or form that you can take this. End of the day, 43% turnout. Now, I want to make sure that we understand what that means. There's 8 million people who are eligible to vote in Illinois.
Okay.
Of those 8 million eligible voters, only 70% are registered. So when we say there is a 43% turnout, that means 43% of the 70%, so about 30% of eligible voters are dictating the process here in Illinois. We hear it every day by hardworking men and women, people mainly with a lot of common sense. You know, they're frustrated. My vote doesn't count. It's rigged. Chicago, I'm not voting. That's what's getting us. Stop it. Get in there, exercise your duty, vote, and we can take Illinois back.
So that's it. The trick is going, hey, if you listen, this is actually for you. It does actually count.
Right. When people start seeing these, you know, we have to find a way to drive people to the polls. And what we're talking about is affordability. When you have a mortgage payment, right, that is less than your property tax bill, there's a problem. When you start opening up these utility bills, people are afraid to open up their bills when they're on a fixed income. Right? I got my bill the other day, and my wife goes, this bill is higher. I'm looking at it, I'm like, what are they charging me for? What, sunlight, moonlight, check engine light, light at the end of the tunnel, the bright idea I had last month? What are these people charging me for? How can the bill be this high?
No, you're right.
And it touches everybody. It doesn't matter where in the state you are.
So how does a change of office change that?
Oh, gosh, everything. So I'm here because I got ticked off in 2017 because my state representative started, supporting tax increases, the 32% tax increase with a new budget of 2018. We hadn't had a budget for several years, so of course the only solution that Illinois ever has for any problem is more money. So I simply went to Facebook, started complaining, and in my area, 30 miles south of Effingham, I mean, it took off like just rocket fuel. No one was paying any attention. And the next thing you know, I have friends and neighbors and business partners pointing at me saying, you need to run for state rep. I said, absolutely not. I've always voted. I don't want to be a part of government because it's corrupt, it's wicked, it steals our taxes. I mean, duh, why wouldn't I want to run? So we did, and for me, it became an educational process. I went to Facebook, I went to social media and started talking to the masses, and they got elected. They put $1.5 million against me in the most conservative district in the state. I came up with 200,000. I won 60-40 because I got out to the people. COVID hit. Many people probably remember me from COVID. I was the only state office that stayed open to help people, and I stayed on every day just with a message of hope, saying, you know, number one, hang in there. It's going to get better. We're Americans. The government can't shut us down. Number two, my state office is open. If you're having problems, call this number. And I had to hire additional staff. So that is how we change things. We put the right people in the right place, and we start messaging to everyone.
But one thing to mention, too, the governor of Illinois, not our current governor, but the seat of Illinois, the executive branch in Illinois is one of the strongest across the nation. The governor appoints 2,100 appointments, including the departments of every agency, the Illinois Department of Education, the Illinois Department of Corrections, Illinois Department of Insurance, up and down the ticket. On top of that, there's 320.
I feel like we have issues at a few places you named just now.
And each of those appointments is made by the executive branch, right? So we can take people that are actually qualified in jobs, not just patronage jobs, and replace them with the most qualified people that understand policy, that understand how government works, and get that efficiency. On top of that, there's 327 boards and commissions that are in the state of Illinois that are at the governor's disposal. So you can go and take that executive branch over and make a generational impact and change in Illinois overnight.
Right.
And that is where that is, because you have your legislative branch, but he has veto power. He's got line item veto. You have your judiciary, of course, but that seat is the biggest change that can be made because it also controls the purse strings.
Right. Okay, so I feel like it wouldn't be hard to sit here for 3 hours and shit on me personally, shit on Pritzker and how that how the state seems to be operating. But before we continue to do that, so I kind of am not fully aware, and I want the voters to be voters, people watching who, if you're watching and you're not a voter, you are going to be when you get done, one way or the other. So help me understand, there's several people that are running for the same spot you're running for to run against Pritzker, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
What is there, half a dozen?
No, there's just 3 others.
Oh.
A total of 4.
Okay. And so what is the difference between the 4?
Well,
Because that's the first step,
yeah,
right?
that's exactly right.
Okay.
Determining the difference. March 17 is the primary. You can go vote early today or any day during the week, and we ask that you do that. Get your vote in because who knows what the weather could be like here in Illinois. On
We've
March
been actually
17th.
pushing early voting on this.
Really, we need to get it in because I have the proof of 2022 to suggest that people, and I hear it every day. Someone got sick. We were out of town, got called, stayed late to work, forgot.
You got a whole 30 days to rock it.
Right, 45 actually.
Oh,
so
there you go.
So let's just take this contrast, the difference, the experience. I'm the
And
only
I'm not
one.
asking for you to bash.
Oh, and
No,
we
we're
won't
not.
because we don't even call them opponents. We call them co-competitors.
Yep.
Sure.
Because on March 18th, the day after the election, we need everybody on board.
Right.
No, I believe if someone can't stand on their own laurels and has to turn around and bash somebody else, then they're missing out. So Aaron and I both. Aaron was Gary Rabine's lieutenant governor in 2022, so we both ran statewide races. 6 months ago, Cindy and I, we didn't think we were going to run. Just set it aside. People began to call, and we began to set and consider and think because our passion is Illinois. It is Illinois. So. We started thinking, okay, can a Republican actually win? Yes. We found out a Republican can win. Can a downstate farmer win? Yes, actually, a downstate farmer can win. So then where's the messaging? What needs to be done differently? And that's where we can take our experience from 2022 and begin to put it together. Number one, this man sitting beside me, Aaron DelMar, has the Cook County, the Chicago connection to merge to help me to understand, life in Chicago. He's the chair of the Cook County GOP. He's the chair of Palatine Township, the only township in Cook County operating with a budget in the black and in the supermajority of conservatives. So then we back up and we consider, okay, what else? This messaging. What did I do wrong? And we discovered a whole lot of things that with this messaging of affordability, of safety. I mean, I'm driving through Decatur today, and I'm seeing these billboards where the Decatur Police Department's offering, $5,000 sign-on bonuses.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells the story.
Yeah,
Law.
buddy.
And you want to tear down a constitutional republic? How do you do it? You create lawlessness. That's rule number one. So we have the men and women who serve and protect with these honorable jobs, and they've been Pritzker's put shame on that and pushed them out of the state. And then finally, education. So we've got these 3 pillars of failing education. People aren't safe. People can't afford to live in Illinois. And that's what 80% we believe of all Illinoisans. The playing field's different than it was 4 years ago. Our friends in Chicago, they weren't feeling the pinch and the hurt that they are now. So we're out on this bus tour and buzzing around Illinois. But on March 18th, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to have a unity breakfast after the primary where we bring Republicans in and where we demand 2022, everybody just walked away. The losers went away and they didn't come back. They didn't offer their support. They didn't offer their help. So
That was going to be my next question was it should be like if something doesn't go your way, then how can I make it go your way?
Thank you very much. That hasn't
red
been the
is
case
red,
in the
right?
Republican Party. So we're having a unity breakfast to make sure that happens. And then after that, Aaron and I are going to be spending 90% of our time in Cook County, Chicago, and the suburbs area because and getting this message out.
You feel like you could have been in the governor's seat right now had your what you call them, not competitors,
Co-competitor?
Yeah, co-competitors. Had they not?
I don't think Illinois was ready.
Okay.
It's just Illinois had to go.
But they didn't jump on your team whenever
No, Gary Rabine, his running mate, Gary Rabine, helped me out immensely. So upon winning that primary, and that was We went out to the Republican Governors Association after the victory, and it was out in Aspen, Colorado, met with all of the Republican governors in the nation. And they knew who I was. I mean, it was the most expensive primary.
$145 million spent on a Republican primary in Illinois.
In U.S. history. And I cleared a field of 6, taking 50% of the vote, and they were just amazed at that. And we're thinking, hey, this is awesome. But you're in Illinois. We're going to work on the swing states, and then we'll come back to California, Illinois, New Jersey. I mean, that was heartbreaking, but they were right. Because they knew the data, they knew the details, that Illinoisans, we just weren't hurting bad enough. So now we've had 4 years later, and people have seen their property taxes skyrocket, their utility bills just 6 months ago skyrocket. We can't afford to live
That's
here.
what I'm saying. If he wins again,
It's game over for Illinois.
that just proves that you literally can't.
Right.
You can buy your seat.
Right.
Well,
And
you know,
that's
Right.
we kind of already know you can, but well, he did.
it's been, you already
He
did
was
it. You already
sought
did it.
after
Twice
for
already.
because he was a rich dude.
Right.
They wanted to take out Bruce Rauner, right? They had to find another rich guy. But to go to your question originally, you know, the other co-competitors we have in here.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask that.
No, they're all really good. They're all really good people. I mean, I've had an opportunity to know these guys, most of them for over a decade, and they're good men.
Yeah.
You know, you have Ted Dabrowski. He's been part of Wire Point. You know, his first time campaigning, and there's struggles and challenges when you've never campaigned before.
Sure.
When you've never been running for elective office. There's a different set of skills that you need than you are evaluating policy from a cubicle.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
Sure.
You know, there's astronauts.
Sharp guy.
There's a very sharp guy. There's astronauts. And there's astronomers.
Sure.
Darren and I are a little bit more like astronauts and astronomers.
Yeah.
Sheriff Medrick, you know, great on public policy regarding public safety as a sheriff in DuPage County and the Collar counties. But he was the first one to enter, and, you know, it didn't really catch fire for a lot of people and created an opportunity for others. And then you got Rick Heidner, who is, you know, rags to riches story.
Yeah.
Grew up in South Barrington, not too far away from me, you know, pretty much with nothing, and was able to build his business. But again, his first time getting involved in politics on this level. You know, Darren and I are kind of from the opposite. We're from the grassroots. He grew, you know, he did 17 years on the Clay County School Board. He ran for state rep, ran for state senate, was our nominee. I did a different path. I started out as a city councilman, then a township chairman, then a county chairman, then co-chairman of the Illinois GOP, state central committee, the Illinois International Port Authority, right? So our experience comes from the bottom up instead of the top down, and we actually understand the policies and the you know, rules that you set, how they actually affect everyday people, because that's where we came from.
Right. Okay, so Illinois, I think the number one complaint from anyone that works or employs people is taxes, right? We've talked about it several times already. So is this something that is there such thing as immediate-ish relief? Or
Right now, today, last August, when our utility bill spiked, the governor and the General Assembly could have been called into order to begin offering relief. You know, there are bills that can be passed to set caps on rate increases. It is the governor's office that sets and determines the energy that we need. So,
but is it like if the money's already spent that we get the bill for? Do you guys?
It works the other way around.
Yeah.
So they go and collect the money. They say, this is how much money we're taking from your pocket. It's called a levy. So they levy a tax, and they say, we're not going to say this is how much we need and we take it from you. We're just going to take it, and then we're going to tell you how we're going to spend it. It actually works in reverse, and that's why we're so upside down here in Illinois.
last year,
Yeah, 'cause
$2.5 billion of our tax money just in 2025 was used to feed, house, and insure illegal aliens in the state of Illinois. That's almost 5% of the budget. See, that's
Where we
that's
got
the power of the
hungry,
government.
uninsured
veterans,
citizens.
senior citizens. That's right. That's right.
Have you ever been in an NFL game?
Yeah.
What field have you been to? You ever been to Soldier Field?
No, I haven't.
Or where do you
I
go?
actually, well, I was in Minnesota when the stadium collapsed, but
All right, so think about that stadium in Minnesota, and you're watching a Vikings game, right?
Yeah.
And you're in there, and every seat in that place is full. Every seat's packed.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the Super Bowl.
Sure.
You take that times 2, and that's how many illegal immigrants came into Chicago over a 6-week period. And so, right, so just to kind of give you an idea about it. And here's the thing, too. We want to be fair about this. It's a responsibility of any nation and of any state to take care of those that can't take care of themselves, right? So we can't let people freeze in the winter. We can't let people starve, right? There's a responsibility. But the fact that J.B. Pritzker hates Donald Trump more than he loves Illinois and created an environment where he won't work with the federal government to try to create relief for this immigration because Joe Biden had open borders, created this impact on every one of these cities. That's why they're up here.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the sanctuary city status of Illinois creates an environment where you're welcomed over here. Let's come out and let's help you. And we want to help these people. And Darren and I both, our hearts break for their situations where they need to flee their country to come here. I mean, we're not heartless people.
Right.
But we need to do it in a comprehensive way. And so when my dad immigrated here legally in 1974, he had to have a sponsor. My uncle was a sponsor. If he had a health issue and medical bills, my uncle is responsible for his housing, for his food. But now with these 65,000 people, you're a sponsor. You're a sponsor. He's a sponsor. I'm a sponsor. Everybody in the state of Illinois is now a sponsor. And we didn't accept that responsibility. It was thrust upon us.
After we're already before any of this, we were already figuring out how to get cracked for it. I think that's the
when
amazing
J.B. Pritzker
part.
started, it was $28 billion budget, $28 billion with a B. Now it's $53 billion. In the last 7
almost
years,
doubled?
do you feel like your quality of life has doubled in the last 7 years?
That's
I can't say
insane. It's
anybody
went
that
in
has.
the exact other direction.
Right.
So to your question, immediate tax relief. So like this year when people start to pay their federal tax relief, they're going to begin to experience, they're going to see, the lower federal tax. So it's taken a while, and so it is with the state tax. But the biggest thing is that people in Illinois want relief from is increases. Just stop it. Start tampering this down. We believe that through our DOGE process and through finding out that this $56 billion, 5,000-page document called the budget, there is no one that has any idea what's in it, where their money's coming from, where their money's going to. In 2021, I and some state reps tried to write a resolution to call for a forensic audit. We were called by Frank Montino, the Auditor General, and we said you can't do that because it's going to take 10 years and it's going to cost millions of dollars to tell people of Illinois where their money is coming from and where there is going to. More. If J.B. Pritzker sees a problem, he throws more money at health care. Let's throw another $100 million. Yet no one has any idea how to actually get adequate health care. So
Department of Education, that's a joke.
Right, $30,000 per student educating children in Chicago, 22 to 25 of the rest of the state. And by the state school boards, the Board of Education, we're failing. 70% of our children cannot read, write, and do math at grade level.
Proficiency in math is like 9% or something crazy.
Yes, you get it.
And you're paying $30,000 per student to do that. Right?
Well, and so that's it, right? It's almost like if you
that's college
candy coat enough of the money and go, this is for education, we all go, we need it. So we don't ask questions about it. And then you get 10, 20 more jobs that never are teaching kids. They're not increases in the teacher's salary.
Mandates.
Yeah, they don't even have anything. They're at some business office somewhere.
But we're not going to tell you how to pay for it. We're not going to help you.
Right.
So school, let's just talk about school. We want local control. We believe that the community, that school board, they should be able to decide how they want their children educated. We believe in school choice. We believe that the parents sitting there paying tax dollars should decide where they want their children to go to school at, or whether that's a public school or whether it's private school. Competition is good with education. All this mess, honestly, I'm not putting the responsibility, at least downstate. Chicago, they've got a mess. But a lot of this problems, when people hear this, they think we're talking down to teachers and administrators. We're not, because we know that you've been impacted and hammered with all these mandates from state government, from Springfield, and you're having to abide by those, or else there's penalties. So we just need less government all the way around in our lives.
Yeah, well, when the meeting consists of, hey, as a teacher, here's what we need to happen on the back end, but we're not going to give you any help, guidance, funding for the front end. It's going, okay, so we have to just push people through.
No, and that's what they do.
It's
they
crazy.
They graduate kids that don't have the skills that they need to graduate.
Well,
what does that do to our workforce when you're trying to hire people?
When I was talking to someone and they go, you have a lot of these kids now that are getting out, they're not scholarship kids, but the next step after high school is college. They were so unprepared
Right.
that they're 10 grand in the hole taking remedial classes in college.
catch up.
Right.
Before, they're 20 before they start getting their associates
Right.
because they didn't. It's not even their fault.
Yeah, and but now because of that mindset, we're short on plumbers and electricians and just regular
College is not for everybody, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to go into the trades, if you want to go into the military, if you do want to go to college, which is great for some kids, you need that higher education, or if you're going directly into the workforce, you need to be prepared for whatever that is.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a waitress,
the job.
which is great, you
High
need to be able to
school.
count out the change.
You're dang right.
Right? If you want to work in any level, if you want to get go into the union side, you need to know how to use a
Come
ruler,
on.
and you need to be able to
Math,
count. You need
reading,
how to
that's
read.
just fundamental.
Correct.
Like there should be no argument on.
Correct.
And yeah, like you said, there is no. Well, here's a job for dummies. That doesn't exist. No. I mean, I hate to say it. You know what I mean? It's like.
Well, and what happens with the college kids is something that my family faced. My two oldest sons just finished college. One went to the University of Illinois. The other went to Iowa State. My son that went to Iowa State, he's not coming home. He's like, Dad, there's a better opportunity for me in Iowa. There's a better path for me to a first-time home. There's a better path for me to a higher-paying job. I come back home, and even if I rent, they're passing that property tax onto me through my rent. The cost of groceries are out here. The gas cost is ridiculous. He goes, I love you, and I miss our family. And I can't be mad
You're
at
like,
him.
I'd like to argue with you,
I
but
can't
let's
argue with
just-
you. I understand, but it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart that my son's not coming back.
Yeah. Hey, totally off. Are the Bears staying here?
Oh,
So
well, yeah.
that lease doesn't expire until
Skull,
2033.
by the
Make
way,
sure
go Vikings for the record. But
Right.
I still know what a
they're
good
still,
business is.
I mean, so isn't it a shame that we
Yes.
can't legitimately have that conversation? So really about the only thing that the state of Illinois can do is impose property tax caps and some relief. That's about the only, because there's no money. Indiana's got money to learn.
Right.
But guess what just happened a few months ago? That exact same process was voted on in the General Assembly 10 years ago regarding this big company called Boeing, and we kept them. And about a month ago, that contract came due. They didn't even seek for any. They packed up and they're out of here. That's the problems that we're having in Illinois, and we'd love to have that. Illinois can't afford to lose the Bears. Let's just be honest
Right.
about it. Chicago can't afford to lose the Bears.
So is it on the state? I mean,
Well,
there
so-
not like some $1 billion dude who goes, "I'll build this shit and I own it," or something like that.
Not only that, the new proposed stadium in Arlington Heights is less than a mile from my house. So,
Right.
and it is in my jurisdiction as highway commissioner. So I get to see the kind of inside baseball, and the taxing
Okay.
bodies are all literally in my backyard, physically.
So do we pay for that?
What the issue is that they want to have property tax understanding, and our taxes keep fluctuating, right? They keep going higher. They want to say, hey, look, we want to have 25 years, 30 years. What are our taxes going to be, so we can budget for it?
Right.
That's number one. Number two is they want infrastructure brought to it, because they're not just building a stadium; they're building a whole city within a city.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you need your own fire department, a jump station that needs to be over there. You need to bring water to it. You need to bring ingress and egress as far as infrastructure for roadways. You need to be able to build your train line to get there for public transportation, busing. It is a whole different. You need your own special police force that's in that area because of the density of the population that's going to be there.
Right, but so it takes a lot of money to make this happen.
The Bears are willing to build the stadium on their own dollar, but they need the state to come in and help them with the infrastructure to get that much water there, to get that much sewage in and out of there, to be able to get those roadways built. And that
all this
challenge.
other stuff has to.
And they want to say, hey, look, we're willing to pay our fair share, but I need you to keep it at this rate so we know about it for the next 30 years. So if it's $10 million a year or $20 million a year, that's what we're going to pay for the next 50 years, and not just every year having to fight it and reevaluate it.
Right.
Because when Arlington Park got closed down before they knocked it down, they assessed, the Cook County assessor assessed it at an unreasonable number. They were paying more taxes than they were if they were to knock it down.
Right.
Right. So that is the bigger challenge. And to Darren's point's 100%. The reason Chicago can't afford to lose it is not just because of the 9 home games that the Bears are going to play. It's every single concert that's there. It's every social event that's there. It's all the soccer. It's everything else.
Yeah.
It is the tourism economic driver for the South Loop. That would crush all the different jobs in every one of those hotels, every restaurants that are there, all the public service workers that are, that work at each of these different events, even down to concessions.
Yeah.
It would collapse that south side of Chicago economy.
But is it crazy that that's a conversation?
Well, why not go to Indiana when the property,
I'm just saying,
the
it's
property taxes are
absolutely insane.
way less, and the corporate tax in Indiana and Iowa are half of what they are in Illinois.
Okay, so here's what I got to wrap my brain around is they maneuver it so the money becomes available to build everything around the stadium that the Bears are going to build. And it ends up getting paid for by the us, right? Taxpayers.
Well, you don't have to do it that way. Darren has come up with a wonderful idea where we would create a tourism district, and there would be a tax, but it wouldn't be on property tax. It would be on tourism dollars. So when you stay at the hotel and you have to pay an extra, like when you
There
go
you
to
go. That's
like when you
where
go
I
to
was
Las
going.
Vegas, right? You go to Las
Yeah.
Vegas, you pay that additional tourism tax.
Yeah.
That tourism tax could fund it. You could bond against it, and then it would pay for itself.
Well, and that's why that makes sense, because it's going. Their shit's going to be more valuable. Mine's not.
Yeah, and try to sell that to the rest of the state who's suffering from high property taxes.
Right. So
People-
it does make sense. If you're going, hey, the upside to this is about to be a revenue stream capital of the state.
Arlington Heights is fighting hard to get it through. I mean, they hired 5
Okay.
different lobbyists that they want to bring to Arlington Heights.
So when's the decision? How does that work?
I mean, Portage, Indiana, and Gary, Indiana, just threw a giant wrench in everything because they're saying, hey, not only will give you the infrastructure that you want, we'll also build your stadium for free for $2 billion because we know what Darren just suggested is that we'll build a tourism district right around it. We'll hit it on a tourism fee so that only the people that are paying for it are the people that are using it, right?
It's like,
And
it's like
I think they should be talking to Darren Bailey a little bit more in the city of Chicago than out here.
And no, you know what it's like, Darren? It's like they've never seen a place where a stadium got built. It's always nothing around it, and then give it 10 years, and it's it's where we want to go.
Look at Ford Field in Detroit. I mean, it's an
what I'm saying.
economic driver for tourism in Detroit, which was a failing city for many, many years. Still has some challenges, but they build that entertainment district. So they have people that are there evergreen, 24 hours a day. Something's going on in that area, 365 days a week. And that economic driver paid for the field. It pays for those taxes, provides those jobs, and now they're able to flourish by growth.
Okay, so is there a date? Is there a time limit on when this
So
will?
2033 is when the lease is up at Soldier Field. That's their last. They've got things leased until then. So,
But it's
you
going to
know,
be before that because it's going to take 2 years to build it.
Oh, yeah.
And if
I
they get
just-
a better enough deal, they'll buy themselves out of the lease and make a double
So it's just
payment.
a matter of the Bears going, hey, do we give a shit that we're in Illinois?
Right.
Or
We
do
need to
not?
become competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to become competitive or it's not going to matter.
Right. Because it doesn't make sense. If I mean,
The Bears are in the business of making money.
yeah, as they should be. And I mean, as crazy as it is, it's going, hey, I mean, ask St. Louis. You can build a football team and it'll leave.
Right. Right.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy, dude. Man, I don't know. I just look at it like you said. I mean, I don't have to be a Bears fan to go, well, that would be insane.
I mean, think about that. When you have Bruce Springsteen, when you have Taylor Swift, when you have all these different concerts, the whole place, where do these
Dude,
people
they pack
stay?
that
Where
place
do
for
they eat?
Comic-Con, dude.
Correct.
Everything.
Right.
Like,
Correct.
yeah. Yeah. Well, can you where do you think that the inefficiency overall in Illinois, where is that rooted? I know we can call it taxes, but so here's my take, right, is I give these little rants on social media, usually shitting on Pritzker's plans and whatever he's got going on. And a lot of them, I make sure I'm an AI user, and I usually make sure I don't say anything that's not true. You know what I mean? Like, let's run it by. I'm not going to lie. I'll just say I don't know or tell me if I'm wrong or whatever. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy who it's like he's somehow money to his family, the Hyatt Hotel money, how is this guy not got locked up for the Hyatt Hotel?
He should have been locked up in 2014.
$180 million?
Forget about even that from that standpoint. In 2014, before he ran for governor, he had a property that he built in Chicago.
Is that where he took the toilets out of?
Toilets out. The reason he moved the toilets out.
great.
This is the reason he moved the toilets out is because you can assess it as a construction site versus a living-in home, and if it
So
doesn't
it's
have
literally,
toilets,
it's the house right beside of him. He lives on Astor Court.
Right.
He bought the house right beside of him. Wanted to just have it to store stuff in. He didn't want to pay the terrible property taxes, so they went in and removed, I think, up to 13 toilets out of it, and then gets caught and turns around. Stuff like this, he'd be raging about today.
we'd all be in jail. The rest of us would be in jail.
saying.
And he paid a $300,000 back tax on it. Why would you pay the $300,000 back if you didn't do anything wrong?
Right.
Regardless, just on principle, right? But if that happened to Darren Bailey, it happened to Nick, it happened to Aaron DelMar, we would be in chains and we would be being dragged out of here.
They
I
would
think
have
everybody
them.
forgets about the conversation several years prior to that with Blagojevich when he was trying to buy the U.S. Senate seat. We all forget about that, and that's what ended up getting Blagojevich on the immediate hook with Madigan and getting put in prison.
7 years in Colorado.
Yeah.
But more than that,
Remember that conversation?
that was
it's
Pritzker?
recorded. That was Pritzker.
but that also goes to character and into integrity. right? If you're willing to cheat the taxpayers, why wouldn't you do it in the governor's mansion?
Dude, I seriously feel like he is convinced, rightfully so, that he can do what he wants. Like, it's great.
He's been able to. So voters, where are you at? Let's draw a line in the sand and let's stop it in November, because he has. You're a trust fund billionaire, and I have said it. The man has not worked a day in his life, and because he doesn't have to. You know,
That's what I was going to say. There's no
dream.
knock on that.
Right,
If you,
right.
good for you.
Right.
But,
But when
into
you
the
haven't
right
built
family.
something, when
Right,
you haven't
right.
had to wake up.
come on, Mom. What's going on? Where's the billionaires?
Yeah. So, but to your question, where's it at? It's all in that 5,000-page document we call the budget. So in 2017, when I got ticked off, Aaron said it before, his Illinois state budget was $32 billion. That's our share. Illinois actually operates off about $180 billion, most of that being federal revenues. Oh. But our share of the taxes that we pay was $32 billion. Today it's $56 billion. And I sat and watched that for 4 years just balloon and expand. More money here, more money there. And that's our Doge process. We believe that within the first 10 days of our administration, something we're going to start upon getting elected, because I'm telling you, it is a deep dive process to find out where this money is at and bust every page down to be able to show Illinois taxpayers where their money. Remember when gambling was legalized? It's a end all to our schools.
Right.
And just recently, marijuana was legalized.
Right.
No more mental health problems for Illinois. We're solving it. Yet we continually have, the problems just grow, and taxes continue to mount. I mean, now they want to, tax your campfires at $5 at a campfire. Plus, if you don't report it, you could be fined up to $100,000. This is the nonsense of Illinois state government led by J.B. Pritzker. More and more of your stuff just because he can.
And what Darren's talking about, too, is when he says, where's the money coming from, where's it going? How much are we getting from the marijuana tax? How much are we getting from the gambling tax? How much are we getting from each of these different taxes that we have, from sales tax? How much are we getting from the new rental tax, right? You used to rent a carpet cleaner at Home Depot, and it used to be $29. Now it's $29 plus 10.25% tax, right? Where are those revenues coming? How are they being allocated? Are they being allocated for what they've been developed to pay for?
So is that what your Doge is going to expose?
Right.
Yeah,
because I think that's it. Is when it's all said and done, you just named two powerhouse money makers: the marijuana and gambling. I mean, that's a huge revenue income for the state.
Yes,
but also think about
where the hell that
go.
It sounds like Pritzker jacked the budget.
Yes,
but think of the morality of that.
We're $20 billion.
We're taxing it off the people that are using those products and then that are playing those games that usually aren't the ones that can afford to be doing it. Right. So when J.B. Pritzker says that he's looking out for the little guy, and Brandon Johnson, City of Chicago, says they're looking out for the little guy, look at the the regressive taxes that they're doing. Right. If gas is $2 or gas is $5, J.B. Pritzker is still filling his tank. Right, but that matters to other people that are just trying to get to work.
Right,
and so there are not enough billionaires left in the state after JB has kind of pushed them all out, Ken Griffin and all the rest of the groups in Citadel. So they have more people in that middle class, lower class. They have to fund our state off of, and those are the ones that are hurting the worst.
Yeah, well, and it sounds good to go leave, but a lot of people are in a position where that's not a thing. It's not an option to just go, I'm out of here, but.
Well,
it
people love this
shouldn't
state.
Be like that.
We're centrally located. We have everything that we need here in Illinois. We got the Great Lakes, we got the rivers, the rails, the roads. The location is perfect. Illinois' corporate tax is twice what it is in Indiana and Iowa. Down in southeastern Illinois, a year ago, Indiana came out and said, hey, we passed this bill that we want to take 23 counties in southeast Illinois. And about a month ago in Iowa, they're working on a bill. They announced it they said, hey, let's let Illinois give us the 7 counties up here in the northwest quadrant. And people look at that, you hear this, whole separation issue. It's brilliant on their idea, because what they're doing, they're forcing companies to look across the border and realize, wow, it's a lot cheaper to do business over there and a lot cheaper to live over there. Illinois has a massive amount of border to every, many states around us. And 15 miles in from every border, we hear it all the time. People are driving on the weekends or whenever to fill their tanks up. And they're just not filling up with gas and coming back. They're eating out. They're shopping, which is hurting our business and our tax base. So there is, I don't know where to look at to say that's a bright spot, and I'm sure proud, of what has happened in the last 10 years. It's been just complete devastation to the taxpayer and the people and the families here.
Well, and I think there's got to be. You're from up in the city, and when I like going up there. It's a whole different world.
Oh yeah,
Like it even. like the financial structure even makes sense. It should be like we're going to get a little bit of the overflow from Chicago that doesn't make sense to us down there because if you ever have visited there, you'll understand it's a big city within Illinois.
I mean, I grew up there. When I was a kid, we didn't take the school bus. We'd go on the CTA. You know what I mean? 8, 9 years old, and you'd go to school, and you'd have your bus pass, and you'd be back in the CTA and come right back, and it was safe, and you didn't worry about it.
Right.
Now, when we go, we have an exit plan. We have a kind of strategy, and our heads on the swivel. We're like, hey, we know that Brandon Johnson is defunding the police, and to Darren's point earlier, there's 1,600 vacancies in the Chicago Police Department. There's less boots on the ground. We know that the policies that they've created have made Illinois unsafe with the Safety Act.
So are they not wanting more cops, or they can't get them?
Or both. And what
people ain't. You can't take
afford
anyone.
them and can't get
safe
them,
neighborhood access.
Yeah.
But not only that, so what you'd normally get, back in the day when the police felt like they were supported, you'd have 1,000 people that would take the police test, and then you would take 100 or 200.
Privileged job.
Right. Now you get 300 people. You might get the first 50 might be good, and the rest of them you don't want. Right. They're not able to. You know what I mean? They can't pass certain functionality sides of it. And
they got that public education.
Well, you know what? Here's what I'll tell you, Nick, and I'm humbled by
that shouldn't be funny.
But when I was in 4th grade, I was at the Chicago Public Schools. I was at Owaithorpe Elementary School, and I could not read, I could not write, and I could not count at a 4th grade level. And I was ashamed back then as a young kid, and I'm ashamed still now to talk about it. My parents had to move me out of there and put me in a private school so I'd have an opportunity to learn the core things that I needed. And they effectively were double taxed because when they paid their property tax, that was supposed to get me access to a quality education. So when they had to pull me out and they had to come up with that tuition to pay for my Catholic school, they had to work harder, they had to work longer, and we had less stuff, less vacations, less disposable income. Fortunately, my parents were hard workers, and they worked very hard, and they moved us out to the suburbs, and I got to go to a very good high school and then go on to college and have that education that I need and that I'm so grateful for the hard work and the sacrifice they made. But not everybody is lucky to have parents like I am.
You actually experienced
the
lack of...
It breaks your. I remember
crazy.
being ashamed, and I still feel that, being made fun of and being ashamed that you couldn't do the core things that you needed to. And I had great teachers that were there that were good people, but there were just too many kids in my class, and that access to it didn't have that involvement.
Man, see, I feel like there should be a dean of students or whoever the hell that's who should be feeling embarrassed.
That's part of the problem, though, because you have, like in Chicago Public Schools, using them as an example, you have schools that are built for like 600-700 kids, and they only got 200 kids there, but you still have to pay for the upkeep and the maintenance of it, right? To make sure it's the pipes don't burst, so it's heated up. You have to pay for your principal for every school. You have to have your secretary. You got to have your nurse, and you only have 30% occupancy. But they don't want to do any school consolidation, and I don't blame them because you go to a different school a little bit farther away, you run into a different gang, you run into a different core group of people. How are you going to get your kids to that area?
Why are the schools not?
Because the Chicago Teachers Union runs Chicago. They listen to this. You can look this up in your chat GP and tell you this. When Brandon Johnson was running for mayor, the Chicago Teachers Union, he was one of their members. He was in their leadership. He was also a former teacher. They ran out of money for his campaign. They took out dues anticipation loans. They borrowed money against future teachers' dues to get money to fund his campaign because they knew once they took over, they would have run of the show in the city of Chicago. And that's what's happened.
That's borrowing on a dream there.
Yeah.
It worked.
Well,
so the goal
borrowing
is
on a nightmare.
The goal is to hamper homeschooling, to hamper private education, to force those children into public education so that you hire more teachers and it in turn builds up the pension system. At the root of every bit of this, that's what it is. So we talk about failing schools, just back up just 1 second. Since I got my driver's license in 1982, and I found an interesting graph doing some searching the other day. Since 1982 to 2021, there have been over 700 mandates placed on public education from Springfield. Half of those were unfunded mandates. So 348 unfunded mandates of the state telling schools, hey, you're going to have to do this a little differently. You're going to have to offer this. You're going to have to provide that. You're going to have so many teachers doing this. And sorry, but we're not paying for them. So there's
just micromanaging them.
Well, you figured out how to pay for it. You're going to do this. We're not going to help you how to pay for it.
Exactly.
You go tell your people that you have to raise those taxes.
Oh, so that's why you're going, we're not knocking teachers. Teachers come with a plan of doing a great job, and
most
they're
people they're handcuffed.
They want to help the kids.
But and you know what? If the funds are there, instead of creating extra jobs for your niece or whoever the hell, right?
But that's not how they do it, though. The reason, what I'm saying is this, and I'm getting really in the weeds on the civics. When they go in your property tax, they say, okay, this is how much money we're taking. This is not how much money we need. This is how much we're taking. And then they go and they assess everybody's value on your company building, commercial building, your residence, and they say, okay, this is how much we're taking. This is your cut. This is your cut. This is your cut. Give it to us. And then every year it continues to go higher.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't bring it higher, and there's legislation about it, you know what I mean? You hold it, you can't capture that increase in the future years. So you can't catch up. So that's why they expand that levy every year to be able to capture that much taxes and revenue into it.
Right.
It never stops. There is no limit to stopping the taxing. There's no mechanism that says stop. Like if you go into Indiana or Iowa, right, and we're not pitching Indiana, Iowa for people out here, like, you know what I mean? Like this is a public service commercial telling you to move. They have a moratorium. You cannot be taxed more than 1% on the value of your home.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. We're charging 3 to 5% on your home, depending on where you live, and if you're affordable to hire an attorney to fight your taxes. You know what I mean?
And you're
bring them
saying
down.
that these decisions that were made to make it like this can just as easily be decisions that are
exactly
changed to
right.
go
Yes.
here.
Right.
We know you feel it, because that's it. It's almost like you pull up and see the gas a little cheaper, and you're going, "Oh, something's about to hit."
Yeah.
It isn't anymore like yes. It's like,
Right.
"Oh shit,
Yep.
we're gonna get hit with something right now." Yeah.
Yep.
So how would you describe your leadership style as governor? Like, what would you? Yeah, what is your leadership style?
I'm going to say bold and courageous, because when something needs said, I say it. When something needs done, I do it. I want to educate the people. So the bottom line, we're probably going to wind up, if when we win in November, we're probably still going to have a majority, if not a supermajority of Democrats, still elected. We believe the shock waves that is going to send. So every elected official in Illinois has one thing in common. The first thing they worry about when they win that election, getting reelected. So, keep that in mind. There's a major driver. So we get elected in November. We're going to get elected because people can't afford to live here. People don't feel safe, and our schools are failing. So the Democrat representatives all over the state will take notice. They have to take notice.
Sure.
They have to come to the governor's office, sit around the table, and begin to talk about how we're going to fix this problem together. Because obviously, I can make executive orders. I can move money around. We can make decisions, but many times, we're going to face a lot of pushback. So let's try first, working together, and then I'll go to the airwaves, and everybody who wants to be able to afford to live here, to be safe and have better education. We'll go to that's what got me here. We'll go to the airwaves. And I will tell people, most people don't know who their state rep and their state senator are. We're going to educate and make sure everyone knows who their state representative, who their state senator is. And oh, by the way, we see some of this from D.C., from our president. Hey, we've got this group of people over here. We're trying to work on this and fix it and lower your taxes and help out here. But these guys over here, they won't come and have anything to do with this. So maybe, taxpayer, you need to call them and have a conversation with them and tell them, yes, that I believe is going to be key.
Because that's the same thing that Donald Trump does. Like him or don't like him, he uses Twitter and uses social media to create the environment, because he takes the press out of the circle.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going directly to the voters. I'm going
He's like, I already know you don't like me.
Right.
But his
but he's not
opposition,
dependent
it's
on
like,
them to get his message out. He does his own. He goes directly to them.
Well, and I think that's it, is when you have something that can be great policy, but just because of who is saying it, they're going to say, nope.
Oh, right.
That's a problem,
Right.
So I think that makes it
Most
valuable.
people know what the solutions are and know what we need to do, but just making somebody, and that's what's different about both Aaron and I. We're grounded on our convictions. I served for 4 years, and most people get elected, even conservatives. They get elected in Springfield, and those powers are, when you get to talking about re-election or filling your coffers. Hey, I need you to work with us over here on this bill that you would never normally work on, but hey, we're going to help you out. We'll be there, for your re-election. You've got a safe district. I hear that all the time. I've witnessed it. It's nuts.
But do you feel like that? I mean, you get the seat. It's almost a great time to be able to remind people the benefit of having this. People who aren't on the same page. Nike, Apple, Amazon, they literally pay people that disagree to sit in a room and argue that shit out because these geniuses are going to come up with the best solution.
Right.
Instead of it being like, oh, you're stand for this, we can't even talk. That's crazy to me.
Right.
But is that how it is? Like you're going the
We
pushback.
have an environment. We have an environment right now that is completely. This
one side or the
environment
other.
that JB Pritzker has created is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us here in Illinois to get the ship because people can't afford to live here. Everyone is facing, they want and they need to have relief. So. And the safety. These three issues that we're standing on, we completely believe that's what's going to win this election for us, and that's what everybody wants.
You're right.
And then nobody can deny it. So that is the message.
And what Darren doesn't talk about, too, is that when he did serve in the legislature and he served in the House and in the Senate, he would have people on the other side of the aisle come over to him and find issues that he could agree on. I mean, there's many people that are as far left as Darren is to the right that said, you know what, Darren, I saw you on Facebook. I agree with this position. We need more nurses. Can you join our bill because we want to make more nursing available in junior colleges on a 2-year program? And Darren would then be an advocate to the Republican side and say, hey, look, we don't like 85% of what they're doing, but on this 15%, we can agree. And that's how he's earned the respect of his colleagues in the Senate and in the House, because he's willing to cross over the aisle on bills that make sense and work with them.
That's just should
And
be
that's unique
human
about
nature.
him.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's not. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, yeah, right. It's like, well, of course you are. You should be. And it's like, well, that's not popular at all.
And going back to your question about leadership style, I mean, Darren, has that soft touch. Right, where he's strong, he's a fighter for sure. There's nobody can deny it. But he does it in a way when he disagrees with you can still walk away with friends. That's something that I'm trying to learn from him as we spend time together. Because I'm more like
we're enemies or friends.
Hey,
what
Jack
we doing?
Torrance.
Oh yeah, I'm like you're talking to a former cage fighter, right?
Let's go.
We're duking it out. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're gonna bang this out. And it's funny because people say to me, they're like, "Well, Aaron, how could you be running for lieutenant governor with Darren Bailey?" Just one on the personality side, and two because there's videos of on YouTube of you punching and kicking people.
Hey everybody, I want to take a quick second to let you know that the Beyond Business Studio swag store is officially open. Click the link in the description or scan this QR code to get your apparel game on point and rep Beyond Business. We got hats, hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, and everything else. Several logos to choose from. Scan and customize yours today. I also want to shout out the partners who help make Beyond Business possible. First up is Dubby Energy Drink. If you're grinding, creating, training, or just need clean energy without the crash, Dubby is my go-to. No sugar, no spikes, no nonsense. Just focus, endurance, and clarity. Head over to dubby.gg and use code BeyondBiz at checkout to get 10% off your order. That's BeyondBiz. Support the show and fuel the hustle at the same time. Oakwood Screen Printing. These gals are the real deal when it comes to custom apparel. Direct to film, silk screening, embroidering, heat transferring, you name it, they do it. And they don't just put it on clothing, they put it on anything. Whether you're in need of a small custom run or a massive order, Oakwood Screen Printing handles it all. Fast, professional, and top-tier quality. If you've got a brand, a business, a team, or an idea, they'll bring it to life. Check them out at oakwoodscreenprinting.com. And finally, Midwest Lightning Rods, protecting homes, businesses, and critical infrastructures from lightning strikes across the Midwest. This isn't just another contractor. This is decades of experience, code-compliant systems, and real protection where it matters most. When lightning strikes, preparation makes the difference. Learn about how you can become part of the community that's been protected by MLR at lightningstrikes-weprotect.com. As always, when you support these companies, you're supporting Beyond Business. If you haven't done it yet, I urge you to hit that subscribe button right below this post and follow the Beyond Business page on all your social media platforms that you follow. Now, let's dive back into it.
Cage fighter, right?
Let's go.
We're duking it out. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to bang this out. And it's funny because people say to me, they're like, well, Aaron, how could you be running for lieutenant governor with Darren Bailey? Just one on the personality side. And two, because there's videos of, on YouTube of you punching and kicking people in cages. And I go, well, that makes me uniquely qualified to be a Republican in Illinois.
There, bam, perfect. Yeah, that's great. Well, no, I mean, you guys make me excited in one breath, and then there's that other part that just can't help but go, man, if these people don't get out here and vote, it could be bad, man.
Well, you got two things that drive people to vote. One is you can inspire them. right? And you've seen a whole host of politicians and elected officials that have inspired people, right, on both sides of the aisle. But then you have the other side is showing them and aggravating them and saying, look, you're being robbed. Central Illinois should be angry as heck at Springfield because you continually get robbed.
Right.
In motor fuel tax, I don't know if this has gotten down to you guys, but when you go to the gas pump, right, it's like 35, 40 cents gas tax. For every gallon, that's a flat tax. Well, they tax you on top of it. So if gas is $1, it's $1.40, right? Then they sales tax you on it. But let's put that one aside for a minute. In Central Illinois, and to your listenership, I want you all to know this. J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson got together a couple months ago, and they signed a bill because of the failed transit system in Chicago and the Collier County areas, and they're taking half of your motor fuel tax, and they're redistributing it up north. That's happening now. So when you go buy your gas right down the street, right, thank you very much because you're paying for the failed transit system in Chicago. And you're like, well, what does that really matter? When your roads start having potholes, when you start having bridges having problems, your waterways, your sewer systems, things that actually you need, right?
There's no money for it.
There's no money for it. So what happens to your local government? They have to then raise their taxes for your public works department, for your highway commissioners. Everyone raises that taxes up, and now they're mad at your local boards.
Right. And really, it was funds that were already there.
That is your money.
It was baked in to begin with.
That is your money for your community that is leaving your community because they know that you only vote at 43% and there's nothing you can do about it.
So what, are they still throwing money at this transit thing?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, right?
Oh, yeah.
No accountability.
None.
No, with the toll system or the transit, nobody's walking in there saying, okay, why are you out of money? Why is this not working?
That's what I'm saying. Do they don't have general contractors in this shit?
Never. That's more money. More money's the. And see, that's why we're the best team for Illinois because everybody else on all these other teams, they're all from Chicago. Southern Illinois needs a voice. Nobody understands when you drive through Decatur here on my way here and the roads get rough and bumpy and the infrastructure of every small town across Illinois, these other teams, they don't understand that and they don't get that.
Right.
The rest of Illinois needs a voice, and that's what you'll have.
Because all the people up by me, we think that food just comes from the grocery store. Until I spent time with Darren and on his farm and realized how much hard work, how much grit, and how much the cost of inputs are, right? In order to do it. I mean, Darren works 3 years out of 5 years to lose money. And nobody understands that because unless you want, a $14 piece of corn, right? Because that's how much it would probably cost, or you want an $85 salad, right?
Right.
You can't sell it. It's a commodity just like anything else.
Yeah.
And our co-competitors, as good men as they are, don't have that understanding, and they're not going to advocate or be an ambassador for Southern Illinois like Darren Bailey will be.
Man, that's good stuff.
And when we say Southern Illinois, it's basically everything outside of Chicago and the Colorado.
correct.
Yeah, I was like,
when I'm
like,
up there and they hear my accent,
like
they say, "Where are you
Rockford
from?"
is
And I say,
downstate.
Kankakee and Rockford. Yeah, you're exactly right. So.
No, I get it.
But that's the unique thing because with Darren and I working together as a team, we can govern the whole state, not just Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because Darren and I didn't just become friends. I mean, we had some controversies with us, very much like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in the past.
Yeah.
We didn't care for each other, and in the past we said some pretty unkind things about each other.
Okay.
But we put our own egos aside, we put our differences aside in order to be able to have one mission, to have one goal, and that's to take our state back.
Yeah.
I mean, before I joined this team, I already had I was running for governor on my own. I had a running mate. I already had 2 fundraisers, and I debated twice with our co-competitors that I was going to run for governor on my own. And then I pulled my campaign back and joined with Darren because I knew that Southern Illinois is huge and needs a voice, and that I could advocate for Chicago, the suburban areas, and the Collier counties. And together, we could set unity by example.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw the controversy between Darren used to throw a lot of rocks at my head, and I'd grab those rocks and throw them right back at him. Right?
I can't imagine.
For 3 years, right? Leading by example. Going back to being an astronaut, we saw a problem. Darren saw a problem with his state representative. I saw a problem with my city councilman. I saw a problem with the state. Darren saw it. And we needed to sit down together and talk about it. I mean, we met. It was supposed to be 45 minutes, ended up being 4.5 hours, getting our pass out of the way so we could lead, Illinois and do this.
Well, I mean, that says something for you to be able to just go, screw my plan. My big plan is to take the state back. Let's figure out how to do that. Yeah.
I want to win, and I couldn't win without Darren Bailey,
Right.
and I like to think that Darren probably couldn't win without me.
What is the job? What is the function of lieutenant governor?
Well, first
is it
thing
like vice president style?
First thing every morning, I go find Darren. I take his pulse, make sure he's alive,
right,
right?
all right.
Because if not, I'm
Coffee.
governor. That's number one, right?
Nobody knows what the lieutenant governor does. Most people don't know who the lieutenant governor is. And like Aaron and I say, you're basically getting two governors for one out of this deal because this man's going to go to work and doing things that go ahead and tell
What
me
is
about
it?
that.
What is the actual scope of work?
Right,
or
the scope
whatever?
of work. Obviously, there's some administrative jobs. Right, obviously, number one is you're the backup in case something happens to the governor. So
Yeah.
there's continuity, you know what I mean, and a legacy, in our government, so it doesn't overcollapse. The other thing too is that the governor will assign to the lieutenant governor core aspects, kind of like he does with deputy governor. I've asked Darren, if I could head up the Doge program because I have a significant background in public policy from an educational and from a resume side of local government all the way up to top level of government. I'm the only lieutenant governor that is in this race or even running for governor that has gone through a Senate hearing and approved by the Illinois State Senate. I'm the only lieutenant governor candidate here that I like to joke around is on a DEI hire. I'm not here because the color of my skin or because I have a certain, sexual persuasion or something like that. Where always somebody picks something that they think, we need a female, we need an African American,
Right,
we need
right.
that. I'm here because if God forbid something ever happened to Darren, I think Darren feels comfortable that I could lead our state and it wouldn't be at a deficit. And when you contrast that against our other co-competitors, I don't think you see that. I think they pick somebody for other reasons other than the ability to govern should they need to.
Right. It's really cool, man. I think you guys could do it. You guys got me kind of pumped up about it at least. Jeez. I don't know. Well, I think that's it. It's not even a matter of people understanding. You could not say anything, but we are going to do the opposite of what's going on now. But it's going, come vote then.
But not only that,
Come vote.
We know why. Like when you take a look at like the Safety Act, right? It's a very controversial act.
Oh my gosh.
Right. The idea behind it originally made a little bit of sense. It said, hey, look, we don't have a debtor's jail. If you go and you commit a low-level crime, you go shoplift something, you steal a purse, and it's right, they lock you up, and you don't have $150 to get out of jail or post bond. It seems a little crazy to people in this room, and maybe some of your viewers, you can't get 150, but there's people out there that can't.
No,
There
bullshit.
are.
It goes, hey, don't commit crime.
Well, that's true too.
You should know that, hey,
Right. But while they're waiting 6 months to have that hearing for that low-level crime, they we're housing them, we're covering their health insurance, we're feeding them, and we're putting them in jails, and we're taking up that space.
Fair.
Right? And while they're in jail, they can't get a better education, they can't go and get that $150, they can't help their family, they can't do anything
Right.
because they're dealing with this. But of course, what do the Democrats do? They take it way far to the left.
Dude.
And they say, oh, we should include violence crimes. We should let it include crimes that include guns and such. We should change the judicial way of looking at it. So instead of saying why you should be held, it should be say why shouldn't you be released?
right.
Right.
I stood on
That-
the House floor in the House, and when they first brought these initial ideas, not having any idea that it was going to turn into what it turned into, which I think they knew, and this is how they do things. But
So you're saying some people still agree that there's a benefit to this?
oh gosh, yeah,
The whole thing's got to go.
Yeah,
The whole
David
thing's got to
Pritzker,
go.
They could.
Well, it's insane.
Yes, they could begin rolling this back, but they refuse to. We've heard Pritzker say 6 months ago that I think there need to be some tweaks to this. But to what Aaron
Jeez.
mentioned, we remember Kim Fox in Chicago. Nothing was getting done. Their jails were full. They were backlogged for 4 years
Yeah.
because of exactly what he said. So when they start bringing this up on the House floor, I stood up and debated with them. I said, okay, you know what? That makes sense. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I see what you're saying. So if you want that for your people in Cook County, I'll support that. But you need to leave the rest of us alone in the state of Illinois.
Let it county
On
by
and-
county.
Whether it
Can
was
you-
the green
can
energy
they do
bill.
that?
They did it for the whole state.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
at
you can do exemptions for counties.
They
You can-
technically could have treated Cook County
correct.
differently.
They changed
That's
all the
kinda
other
what
rules.
needs to happen.
They
on
could
a
say
lot.
any county over 2 million people.
Which
There's only
narrows
one
it down.
county.
Narrows
right?
it down,
But look
right.
at this. This is what's happening in your own area here in central Illinois. They took away local control from you as far as even your county boards being able to zone. So, Illinois wants to bring in these big, data centers.
Yeah.
Right? They're taking all of the water,
I
they're taking
hear.
all the electricity, and that's why some of our, helps raise those utility prices. Local counties out here said, no, we don't want them. We don't want data centers, and we're longtime generational farmers. We don't want solar panels.
And they're like, oh, yeah, we forgot we didn't ask you.
Right. So you know what Illinois did? J.B. Pritzker and the Democratic majority said, you know what? We're going to take that power away from you. Anywhere in the state that wants this can have it. You can't outlaw
But
these
Cook
specific
County
things.
does
But Cook
have that
County
authority.
can.
They did the reverse.
They did
now.
the reverse.
Yeah. So
Cook
yeah.
County can control its own, but
He's
every
like, you
other
guys
county
got
can't.
plenty of open land. It's fine.
Right. You see that? I mean, it's not. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good for the goose, but not good enough for the gander.
Yeah.
No, it's really messed up. So
And these are very specific civic issues, right? That, I mean, we appreciate the opportunity for us to say it on your podcast, but most people don't find it as much sizzle. But these are the true things that are happening in Illinois that we have true, real solutions to. Giving that back, that local control. Your county board here should be able to determine what happens in your community.
Right.
The fact that somebody in Springfield or somebody in Chicago is dictating to you what's happening in your hometown is ridiculous. The idea that they're taking your hard-earned money that's supposed to go to your community and sending it up north is ridiculous. These are things that can be easily changed. These are things that need to be changed, and this is the team that can do it.
Now, when you say they can be changed, are you saying they can be changed if you get the spot and then convince a bunch of Democrats to get on your team with stuff? I mean, it's obviously everything is gradual, right?
Everything's gradual. Sanctuary state. There are ways to ease into things and make things have an impact at first, and see if they push back. Executive order, the governor controlling the purse strings.
Appropriation.
Well, it's kind of your guys' job.
That's
You
exactly
go
right.
sweet talk to other people and go, hey, here's what we're trying to do, man. Let's
Within
do
this
this.
$56 billion budget, that's so the state tax rate is 4.95 right now. So that collects supposedly $56 billion. The governor. I say our budget's upside down by at least $5 billion. So let's back that up and say $50 billion. I personally believe that the state, with everything that we have, when we weed out all this fraud, waste, and corruption, that we'll have enough to do what we need to do when we stop paying $2.5 billion to people who are here illegally. We can begin to work with schools and get schools what they need and say, hey, no more, quit raising these levies. Let's back this off. Let's stop a little bit. But what's the prime? The Chicago Bear is part of this program. We need to start luring back industry to the state of Illinois. Right. When we start luring industry, people love Illinois. They want to live here. They want to come back home. We're going to lure back people. Then we start this process of this engine that begins to grind and work. If they're not overburdened, if they feel safe, and if they think their children have a future, they'll come back. And then we begin to grind. This engine goes to work again. Illinois, that's what it must become. It must become the economic powerhouse of the Midwest that it once was. That is the ultimate goal. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, we are attracting the next big baseball team, the next big basketball team, the next corporation, pulling these corporations back from China and Mexico and Germany and wherever else, and getting them right back here where they started. And we begin this change across the nation.
In your opening, you said something that I thought was really important that I wanted to highlight. You said, there's an out-migration, that people are leaving the state and not coming back. There's two parts to that. Number one is when they leave. Remember I was talking about how you get taxed? That tax that they were paying in the state when they go to Indiana or Iowa or Tennessee or Nevada, wherever, Texas, Florida, wherever they go, that tax burden stays here and gets redistributed to you, to your mom, to Darren, to me, and everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
But the reverse also works. When you bring more people back into the state, it lessens the burden because you have more taxpayers that are doing it, and you can spread that burden out amongst more people against more corporations. Yeah. So if you bring in and develop the economy, you bring in the more jobs, you bring in the more people, well, you can pay a little bit less because you got 5 more people that are now just moving in your community or in your neighborhood that can burden that with you.
Well, and I think the turnoff isn't even where we're at. It's that to get here, it's been worse every 6 months for 6 years.
Yes. We've lost 1 congressional seat in 2020. We're expected for sure to lose 1 in 2030 and possibly 2 in 2030, which shows a 250,000 person net loss over each 10 years. So 250,000 people leave. Nobody comes in to take their homes and anything else. Also, think about that. If you bring that migration back of people, they want your house. Right. Your value of your house goes up, right?
Start building houses.
They start building houses. You're like, hey, you know what? Right? When you start taking, people will look when they're looking. Hey, I'm going to move somewhere else. I lived here and I want to go somewhere else. I really like that house at $300,000, $400,000. But look at that property bill.
Oh yeah.
I can't afford. I can buy the house, but I can't afford.
Right. Can't live there.
I can't live there.
So
they look for somewhere else. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, now I think that's the crazy part is so much of it don't make sense, and it's like, no, that's right. It doesn't, and there's no explanation. It's kind of like decisions get made in the dark or something.
Right. People need someone they trust, someone with a proven record that will go in and begin to set things straight. It can be done. We just got to pick the right team to do it, and we, the people, the voters, the constituents, have to do their work, show up and vote.
Well, and I would think, like you said, something really important about whenever you get elected, the next step that anybody has is got to get reelected. So I don't want to be that guy.
right? You
Right.
know,
Right.
I can't.
I've never been that guy.
you know-
We both got a track record. We go to work and start calling out the hard shots, sometimes against our own people. Like, what do you mean you're going to vote to raise this
Right.
gas tax? No, that's not right.
Right.
Half the Republican caucus voted for the gas tax increase when I was in the House. And I stood up and said, and gave their names and their office numbers, and I said, "Hey, people,
This ain't
you
what
need to
we're
give them a
doing, huh?
call."
And they didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Some of the people that are, with our co-competitors are now, it's not because they think one of our co-competitors is better. It's because Darren called them out for raising our taxes. Because Darren called out, he is, and like it or don't like it, he calls out Democrats and Republicans alike for bad public policy.
That's
not for being a bad
solid,
person,
though.
but for bad public policy. If you think you're a bad actor and you're not, meeting that criteria, if you're a Republican, you should be voting like a Republican. Right. If
Right.
you are, if you made a commitment when you got elected, I mean, Darren endorsed a lot of the people. I mean, in 2022, and I hate to admit it because Darren beat me and Gary Rabine in that election. Right.
Okay.
That still smarts here and there sometimes, But he endorsed a whole bunch of people that he thought were going to do the right thing. And when he served with them and they didn't do the right thing, he called them out for it. Right. And not in a negative way, not saying they're a bad person, but calling out this bill that they're doing. Right. Shining a light on that.
Dude, that's somebody's job.
Right. And so there's hard feelings of that. This is still a political field.
Yeah.
And so when you see, some of the different support, it's not because they don't believe it. It's because Darren did the right thing and you know what? When you're a bad actor, what do you want to do? You want to surround yourself with bad actors.
Sure.
And you don't like it when someone shines a light on you.
Right. Well, as long as you can take it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as if you say something and someone goes, and you go, well, convince me. And then you go, oh,
Yes.
okay, my bad.
Yeah.
You got it.
Accountability.
Good
Love
idea.
it. Yeah.
That's it.
Rare commodity today.
None.
Right.
Yeah.
We are not in an accountability
Yeah.
environment.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too, and I think this is important, is Darren and I aren't looking for jobs. He's got a great family farm. He's got great kids. I've got my own business. I've got great kids. We're doing this because we believe we have a specific set of skills and a unique relationship and an experience that could better our state. Right? We're doing it for the right reasons because we both had a different calling in different parts of the state in order to do this. And that same calling is what put us together.
Why do you care?
Why do I care? Everyone always says that same thing. It's for the children, it's for our grandchildren, it's for the little bitty baby and all that. Be honest
I'm
with you,
okay with that answer.
Yeah, no,
actually.
and I get that. I think I hear it too much. So I'm a little sensitive. I'm aggravated. I'm mad.
Even better.
The same reason that I got involved with my city councilman because he thought that his job and he was greater there and for 18 years it belonged to him. That aggravates me beyond belief. I get frustrated and I get pissed off.
The entire-
I'm mad at the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way that they operate. And I'm not going to stand for it.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it. And you can like me, you can not like me. What I say here is the same thing that I say in Rockford, that I say in Chicago, that I say down in Cairo, and anywhere else that I go. The story doesn't change.
Right.
We're not placating to you. This is what we are. This is what we're doing. This is our message, and we want you to be with us. And we know that we can do this job. We're asking for a little bit of grace and a little bit of trust.
Right.
But if you don't, then don't vote for us. I'm going to be fine. We're going to be okay.
Yeah. What about you? What's your thing? I mean,
It is. Well, it is
Well-
family. It's my 4 children. It's our 13 grandchildren. It's the 15 families that are represented that work on our farm. And back in 2017, when my state representative, started supporting this 32% tax increase. When I began to really put a number to that, and I began to look at my the men and women that worked on the farm with me, and I began to look what that was going to take out of their paycheck, it hurt, and I hurt with them. And my goodness, back then they were making $15 an hour, or working their tails off on the farm,
Right.
and now we've got them up to for $25 an hour just 8 years later, and that tax take is more now. And
Yeah.
it makes me sick.
Yeah.
So when is enough for government? And then so as far as getting in and seeing how the process works, I'm sickened by it. Absolutely sickened to see people waver on their beliefs. They tell you they're running for one thing, but they get in and they do another, all for the sake of re-election, all for the sake of a little bit of power and glory, all for the sake of money. And the day of reckoning is here, and Illinois deserves better. Illinois is our home. Illinois is the greatest state in the nation, and it should become that again, this economic powerhouse. Chicago is a beautiful and a wonderful city. We do not deserve what we are living under, and many people don't even fully understand what we're living under until we get out and talk to them and let them know, hey, you got a team here. We can make this better, but we've got to have your help.
Darren and I have been doing this for so long. We've seen how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
We know why it tastes so bad, and we don't want to eat it anymore.
gotcha.
And we don't want you to have to eat it either.
Yeah. I like it. It seems to me like the easiest way to, without even trying, to start your re-election campaign would go,
hey, you know what I'm going to do in a couple of years? I'm going to show you what happened to that money. That's what never happens.
Right.
We all get told,
Right.
this is what's going to happen.
That-
and you go, well, what happened to that money 2 years ago? What happened to that money 4 years
What about
ago?
J.B.
happened to
Pritzker
that?
That is a
promising?
must.
What about J.B. Pritzker promising fair maps? He ran on fair maps,
Right.
And he signed the worst gerrymandered map in the United States. And they put him on TV. You remember when Texas and California were
Yeah.
talking about changing their maps? And he's like, I'm against it. I'm against
Yeah.
it. And they pulled it up and they showed the map. And you're like, by everybody's accounting across the United States, 100% Illinois has the worst maps. Illinois is not as blue as everybody says.
Right.
They've gerrymandered us into so many areas. We're a 54-45 area. I mean, 55-45 state, right?
Right.
We're center. Sometimes in Chicago we lean left, but everywhere else in the state leans right. Right, we are still a Midwestern state, and people forget about that.
Right.
And so, if everybody wanted to have that equality they talk about, how come we only have 3 out of 17 seats in Congress? If you wanted to do it real, we'd have like 6 or 7.
Right.
But they don't want to do that. If you look at our House and if you look at the geography, when they gerrymander people in there, they cut you so your next door neighbor's not even your same district. That's why they have that control.
Yeah.
Because they're literally oppressing us. If you're somebody that has inherited billions of dollars, right, and uses that dollar to oppress other people, you're literally a king. And so when you see these people out there, no kings, no kings. I mean, I'm disgusted. I'm like, well, who do you think is sitting in Springfield? Who do you think is sitting in
sent you.
Springfield? Right. That is literally the definition of a king, and you're you're yelling about the wrong guy.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea of you guys saying there's only one way things change, and that's to be the change. I mean, that's
Yes.
huge. And I mean, yeah,
We can't win these seats back.
Yeah.
We're gerrymandered out. Only way we can do it is on the constitutional officers.
Yeah.
It's the governor, it's the lieutenant governor, it's the attorney general, it's the treasurer, it's the comptroller. Those are the positions that we can fight for. But we need to get Southern Illinois. If there's one thing your listeners can take away from this, Nick, this is the one thing I'm asking you. Get past the apathy.
Right.
This idea that your vote doesn't count. You got to get rid of it.
Absolutely
It's
counts.
everybody else's fault. This victim mentality. Quit being, wherever camera it is, stop being a victim.
Yeah.
Get engaged.
Yeah. Way more people don't vote than do.
Correct.
And yeah, that needs
Absolutely.
that needs to change.
There was I was sitting at a Lincoln Day dinner, and there was a story that was said. There was a guy that was sitting at a bar, and he sat on his seat, and he screamed because there was a pin out of it. And he got up, sat back down, screamed again because the pin's on it. The guy goes, "Why do you keep sitting there?" He goes, "It doesn't hurt enough yet." Right? It doesn't hurt enough yet. Right?
Fair.
And that's the same thing in Southern Illinois. When do you want it to hurt enough? When it's too late?
Well, and I guess that's it. Is we can't even act like voting, especially in downstate. They make it pretty easy. Early vote, everything. It's pretty seamless, pretty easy. You don't have to wait till the mad rush day.
They got more time to go get a cup of coffee at Starbucks than to go and vote, and it takes the exact same amount of time.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do it, dude.
Well,
Maybe
we're
they're
going to
do it
either
for you
inspire
guys.
them
6
or we're going
months
to
to do-
aggravate
yeah.
them to do it
Yep, that's
one way or
right.
another.
That's right.
Yeah, I think, man, if it's not obvious, it's just because people aren't paying attention, which I know that's also popular because you think you don't make a difference and you're convinced that, because I hate to say it, but I think we all know that you're fighting an uphill battle against someone who shouldn't be even be in the damn race, as crazy as that is.
Right.
They're all capitulating to the money. It has nothing to do with his leadership.
No.
It has nothing to do with his policy. And here's the thing, too, is that there's a lot of Democrats in Chicago that are fed up, and there's a lot of Democrats in the legislature fed up because here's the deal. J.B. Pritzker says, hey, you're going to go vote for this. And they're like, we don't like it. He's like, you're going to vote for it, or I'm going to give your opponent in a Democratic primary $10 million, and you're going to be gone. So either vote for what I'm saying, or you're going to be history. And guess nobody, Republican, Democrat, or Independent, likes a gun to their head. Nobody likes that. So we have to also show people a lot of hope that we can beat this man. And then you will be shocked and you will be surprised, you know what I mean, who comes on board. Because Darren has a lot of those relationships. I have a lot of those
Yeah, there's a lot of
relationships.
people waiting for
They're
this
like,
gangster to get out of office so they can.
Yes.
Aaron, show us the light at the end of the tunnel. We'll jump on board. But don't ask us to cut our throat for no reason.
What you're going, I get it. I get it. Man, I didn't follow this thing at all, man. I've just been
No, you
sitting here.
didn't. I've been waiting.
What the
Nick, if there's one, I want to throw something out.
I do. I
Here's
was just
another
going to
option.
say, let me stop acting like I'm about to get to the good one.
No, so Bruce Schrauner got elected in 2014, and like I said, I wasn't involved in politics. I've always voted, but I do remember, wow, a Republican got elected, and I didn't think that ever happened. I knew enough about Illinois politics to know that. But day one, he went in and he went to war against Madigan, and he went to war against the unions, and end of story, full stop.
Yeah.
And that's all we know. And then he had to turn to his liberal side to make an impact for his governorship, which further decimated the state. I want to make sure everyone that's listening to this that has any family members, J.B. Pritzker is doing everything that he can to push messaging out that Darren Bailey is anti-union. That's the furthest thing from the truth. I've made maneuvers. I did things as a state rep and as a state senator to try to attract public sector unions to the table so that their pensions could be protected because the truth is the General Assembly could enact overnight a law, put something into place to open the Constitution up and say, hey, let's get rid of these pensions. That could be done, okay?
Yeah.
And they need to realize, let's get this thing safe. Let's get their retirement secure. Let's make sure that we have adequate. J.B. Pritzker, we almost could have paid off our pension debt over the last 5 years with all these COVID funds coming in if Pritzker would not have wasted and squandered it, but we didn't. So I just want people to understand that if a group of people out there want to invite us to come to the coffee shop, to come to the garage, to come wherever, I want to come and I want to talk and I want to listen. We are not anti-union. We recognize the fact that Illinois is a union state. I get that. And I want to be able to work with these people, but stop buying into these lies that J.B. Pritzker is saying that Darren's your typical Rauner Republican. Republicans are anti-union. The truth is, whenever I go around and talk to a lot of the firefighters, when I talk to police, when I talk to other union groups, there'll always be the union bosses in the back of the room. And most of the room I feel like is for me. But then the union boss towards the end of my stump speech will speak up and say, Bailey, isn't it true that you've voted against every union bill that crossed your desk in the House and the Senate? And I said, actually, it is. But I said, I want to challenge you. And so granted, I've yet to be nobody's brought this challenge forward.
Okay.
And I'm going to probably, before the November election, start showing examples of what I'm talking about. I said, you tell me what bill or bills that you're frustrated that I didn't vote for. You give me 24 hours, and I'll not show you one reason. I'll show you multiple reasons why I did not vote for that bill, because most of those bills, if not all of them, have nothing to do in the 4 years that I served there with what the title was. The title was nice and fluffy. The title was something that I could vote for, and walk around and tell everybody, hey, look what I did. But on page 87, on page 135, on page 637 was the real core issue.
Oh, you're going, I wasn't going to support this other, and this was
Poison
attached
pills.
to
They
it.
all have poison pills in them.
One issue. So I want to point that out, and I'm take me to the task. Give me a bill number. Give me 24 hours.
You're saying
and I'll show you
the
why
union had nothing to do with why you voted.
It had to do with the poison pill on the
amendments. So see, in the General Assembly, there's a process. If I write a bill, and I've had bills passed, but if I write a bill, it has to go to committee, then it has to have a public hearing, then it has to, there's a whole, theoretically, by the rules, there's about a 2-week period. Should be the fastest you should be able to get a bill passed.
Okay.
But with our General Assembly set the way it is, if a bill comes out, once it gets amended, then it can hit the floor and you have to vote on it within 1 hour. So the budget, the gas tax, everything under the sun, the Republicans are sitting over here in the super minority. We have 1 hour, usually at 2 a.m. and 1:30 in the morning, the bill hits, and then 2:30 it's going to be voted on. That's how all this goes down. So there's special provision. If it's amended, then it just takes. Then you'd have it 1 hour to deal with it. So all this junk, the bills are always there. You don't even recognize them once they're.
But so it's intentional.
Correct.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Another point I want to make sure that people know too is that when somebody decided they wanted to give their life to public service, right? You wanted to work at the Secretary of State. You wanted to become a police officer. You wanted to do whatever that is. You were guaranteed and promised by whatever administration was there that you would have a pension, a defined pension, right? That was a promise. That is something that we're going to inherit, and we're not going to take away from you. And that's incredibly important for people to know. You put that promise on, even though we're inheriting it, that was made to you by whatever administration, if it was George Ryan, if it was Bruce Brown or Blagojevich, Pat Quinn, whatever it is, we're going to honor that obligation. And right now you see J.B. Pritzker going on and, text message and everybody, Darren Bailey's going to take your pension away. Darren Bailey's going to take your pension away. That is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth. We're going to make sure that the money is there to be able to fulfill that pension obligation, because that's the bigger risk. It's not of us taking it away from you. It's that it's underfunded and you can't get your money out of it because it's defunct. That's number one.
So it's just slander just to talk.
It.
Okay. So I guess that.
But on top of that, though, what the General Assembly and super Democratic majority has done for their pensions, that they want, if they want to, they can move it to a 401k. They have the ability to do that.
Sure.
But nobody else does. Remember that same thing.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for the goose, it should be good enough for
Yeah.
the gander. We also do believe that if you want to separate and you want to go do something else, you shouldn't be locked into it. You
Right.
should be able to roll that right over to 401k, take your money and do whatever you want from it. But they don't let you do that. So if it's good enough for the Illinois State Senate, and it's good enough for the state legislature, it should be enough for all the public service workers that are there. So they should be having that option to be a 401k if they so choose.
For sure. Yeah.
The reason they don't want to do it is because everybody took the 401k. They don't
get to touch it.
Well, not only that, but if they move everybody to a 401k, it could deplete the whole system.
Yes.
That's what they're going to say. But that's your money.
Right.
People forget that these union workers, that these pensioners, they paid into it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just giving it to them. They've been paying into it for 20, 30 years in their time of service.
Yeah. They've been missing $25 off each of their hourly check.
Right. They're depending on that, right? How are you going to tell somebody that's a year away from retiring that you're going to take their pension away they worked their whole life from?
And fighting words
If
there.
you know anything about Darren and Bailey and I, we would never do that to people.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to hit? I love it. I mean, I think you guys are on fire.
I want to make sure people understand. Go to blueprintforillinois.com because there's a lot of people that are going to be out there and they're going to be say, "Hey, I think I'm going to vote for Bailey and DelMar." Well, what's their plan? Go to blueprintforillinois.com.
I'll put the link right here.
Oh, thank you. And that's the site that has the Doge tracker on the bottom that you or
Yes,
somebody
yes,
discovered
yes.
the 180 million. I mean, between
Yep.
24 hours. Somebody discovered the $180 million. There's been many more discoveries since then. People are working the heck out of that search engine. That's
crazy.
And it's all there. And like I said, day one, that's what I tell people. When a new administration, whether a governor or a president, take office, you have their 100-day review. We're going to have a 10-day review, and it's going to be shocking because we're going to go to work on this because it's not like we want to show the people. We have to know ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's a really positive and different approach. Is like you plan to hold yourself accountable for the promises that you're making.
right.
I want to mention one thing too, and you've been an outstanding host, Nick, and I appreciate giving us this opportunity. But I also want to ask ourselves a hard question. And this is one that we get everywhere we go. Darren comes under a lot of controversy because we didn't get the result that he wanted in 2022.
Yeah.
He didn't, right? J.B. Pritzker beat him. And so many people are out there saying on social media, and our co-competitors are really trying to amplify it and say, well, Darren already lost, he can't win. Number one, the team that you're seeing before you here today is not the team you had 4 years ago.
Right.
The environment is not the same that was we had 4 years ago. The planning, Darren has gotten better as an elected official, as understanding policy and being and doing this because he's 4 years better from it.
Yeah.
I am the same way from where I was 4 years ago. I'm better at what I was doing 4 years ago because you just get better by doing it over and over again. The bigger thing about this is, Darren, when we talked about that meeting, I said that was 4 hours. We talked about the things that he did right, but we also talked more about the things that we did wrong, and that's a lot about the conversation we had. As an athlete, I had a lot of success, being the state champion, 3-time All-American, going to the Olympic Training Center, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I beat a lot of people around the world. I don't remember all the good guys that I beat, but I remember every loss that I ever had.
For sure.
And I've always learned more from losses. And this idea that is circulating around the Republican Party that if you lose once, you're no good, you're no nothing. If we still believed in that today, we would have never had Abraham Lincoln. You would have never had Ronald Reagan because every one of them had losses. Right? Even if you want to go on the Democrat side, you would have never. Barack Obama lost when he ran for Congress. Did they throw him away? And I don't like using him as an example.
Right.
But we have to stop doing that. If you take one loss, you become better through loss than any victory that you ever had. And when I see this man and I see him speak now and I see how he articulates his message and I see the way that he talks about policy and I see the way that he has become more compassionate about life through the tragedy that happened with his family, this is a completely different Darren Bailey than it was 4 years ago. And people should pick up and take notice of that.
I like it. You got a good
We
guy
were
on the
endorsed
team,
last.
man.
Yes, yeah. This team, this is it. We were endorsed just a few days ago by the Daily Herald in Chicago. Now, if anybody, just do your research on the Daily Herald because it's a left-leaning paper. And when I got through with the interview and everybody's asking me how'd that go, and I go, well, I think it did well, but who knows how they're going to twist it.
Right.
The headlines were, we endorsed Darren Bailey for governor, and they acknowledged exactly what he said. This is a different guy, and he's got the compassion. He's got the answers. He's got the wherewithal to get Illinois back on track.
Well, it's different if you would have sat back and just said, "Oh, well, we should have," but this.
Right.
If we, but to go,
Right.
well,
But here's why
we didn't.
Right.
Darren understood, outside of the collar counties, the southern Illinois, the rural areas, the farm towns, the small towns. He understood that. And he thought, because that's what he was exposed to in his ecosystem, that the rest of the state was like that. He didn't have somebody like myself and understood the city of Chicago and the suburban areas and say, hey, Darren, you know what? I believe in the same things you do, but you can't lead with that because that's going to scare the crap out of suburban moms when you do that. This is going to alienate a lot of the different business over there. They don't want to lead with social issues. They want to talk about taxation. They want to talk about how you're going to create an environment where people can build their business. And you need to be talking about small business. You need to be talking about public safety. Those weren't part of the messaging and the priorities because that's not Darren's original ecosystem.
Right. Same idea, just different.
That is different.
Way to go.
And so when we were talking about what of our platform and our 3 pillars, I go, these are the things that we can win on. These are the things that we need to lead with. And J.B. Pritzker and the Dems are going to try to come at us with social issues. We're never going to stop being conservative.
Yeah.
He's never going to stop advocating for Southern Illinois. But in order to be able to get the success, be able to do the good that we've talked about for the last hour, we have to get elected and we have to govern everybody in Illinois, not just the rural parts and the small towns. We got to rule. You got to be able to govern the northern part of the state. And so with this team, you have 2 advocates for our state that are so regionally diverse and economically diverse and culturally diverse.
I think recognizing that is huge. That allows you to lean on each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And go, well, I don't have to know everything if my partner knows some
Well,
things.
we go
You
to
know
these
what I
other
mean?
podcasts and you do other debates when we watch our co-competitors. And even when you watch J.B. Pritzker, there's only one of them.
Right.
Right. And I kind of poked at one of my co-competitors the other day. I'm like, he's like, we're a team. I'm like, if you're a team, how come you're not on the lawn sign? Right.
Right. Yeah. Come on, bro.
You're not even on the logo, man.
What are you doing?
I go, we're a team here because I know that I don't know everything. I know that he knows about that southern area, and he will advocate. And he'll say, Aaron, this is how that's going to affect farmers. We cannot take their motor fuel tax. Aaron, we're not doing it. And I'll say, Darren, you're right. But I go, you know what? We're not going – if this system is failing, and this community needs to find a way to lift it up, and we're not going to take from the rest of the state in order to do it.
Right.
But we still need to find a plan for this area and help our other brothers and sisters in different parts and still advocate for our different regions,
Right.
but do it in a manner that lifts all ships.
I like it. I mean, it's people. I mean, it's you guys helping livelihoods of people and families, and regardless of where you live in the state, you feel it for sure.
Well, it's people like you going out on the street and doing what you do every day with
thank
your
you.
podcast, those reels. I mean, what you're doing, you have no idea. I don't think
I'm seeing it
what
out
you're
there.
doing to educate the voters of Illinois. You are waking people up because of your practical. I mean, it is amazing. So I'm blessed and honored to be here today with you.
And you know, and when I say that, we're not playing any lip service. And the reason I'm telling you this is, when I first started getting involved in politics, I would go to rooms and it would be people that were just political aficionados that are either elected officials or wanted to be in government and they want to do something. It was that group. With Darren and I going on the bus tour and doing all these different stops, these rooms are different. They're about 30-40% of those people. You still have your elected officials that want to come by because you're bringing a crowd. But the other 70%, those are people that are looking for one thing. They're looking for relief. They're coming to us with their problems.
Yeah.
Right? And they're coming to us because they want us to help them and solve and create solutions. And it's bittersweet. And why I say it's bittersweet is because I love going into a pack room. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't want to come in that pack room? But it also creates a burden when you we had a really nice lady, she was an elderly lady, came up and she donated $25 for a campaign. But I knew that $25 mattered to her.
Dang right.
That's a half tank of gas to her, and she wasn't in a position. But and you know what I mean. And we need to be able to obviously fund the machine to get around the state and to pay for our ads and do everything else. But it also created a burden for me and Darren.
Right.
It's a different side of the coin because I'm like, I know that money matters to that lady. I'm going to make sure that $25 that she donated to us goes to getting this through. Right. And it also puts it out. Now Darren and I shoulder it. We're like, I cannot let these people down, Darren.
Right. They're counting on you.
They're not counting on me
personally now.
These are real people that are giving up their time. They're giving up their money, and they're coming and doing this, and they're supporting us and our volunteers and our base. And people don't realize that.
Right.
And it really means something to real people like Darren and I.
Right.
I don't take that for granted, and you can't. And so, is it tiring? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Is it hurt a little bit? Yeah, because my heart breaks for a lot of people because certain things we can't give them that immediate relief that they're looking for. But if you don't think that gets Darren and I up early in the morning to get on the next tour and to go on to the next group and gives us that extra push, because it's no longer about Darren and I. It's about all the people that are supporting the movement that we're doing, and we owe it to them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
We owe it to them, man.
That's awesome that you feel that.
I feel that, and I'm you know what I mean? I don't want to go do a bunch of things. Like, even when I was an athlete, no, you don't want to go work out. I'm tired today. I'm taking it easy. There is no more taking it easy.
Yeah.
Because we're carrying
You're
this
invested
whole.
now.
We're invested, and I can't sleep on some of this stuff because I'm, and I'm sorry to dictate this, but this lady, I mean, people come to these, and she gave me a challenge coin the other day of her son that passed away in 2006, and she had challenge coins made. How do you not feel that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is not just like, oh, we're going to have fun. We're going to go campaigning. This is going to be great. We're going to go on a podcast.
Maybe in your mind it could have been, and then you're like, oh, wait,
No,
these
man.
are real
This
struggles,
is a
real
this
people.
is a real struggles. These are real people. When I have people in the city of Chicago, right? And this, I mean, this crushes me, Nick. I'm telling, and I'm not being cheesy to you. I hope you feel what I'm saying there.
Go ahead.
They're like, hey, you know, my property tax bill was $4,000 last year, and I made it. This year it's $7,000. Aaron, I don't have it. I don't have it. I live on a fixed income. Where am I supposed to get it? I can't afford where I'm living.
Right.
I've lived here forever. I can't give that relief that they're
Right.
looking for right now. I mean, I can tell you later on, and I want to give them that answer, and I want to, you know what I mean? And I wish I
Right.
could give money out of my pocket to every single person
Sure.
that came out to it, right? That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're fighting. These are real people that matter, and their issues matter, and I carry that burden, but I carry it with honor, and I carry it with pride, and carry that. And Darren feels the exact same way. When people ask us why you're doing it earlier,
Yeah.
that is why we're doing it. Because nobody else is doing it.
No, you're right. You're right. It seems like much less of a job you're trying to get is what it feels like.
Right.
If that makes sense, you know, it's way like you said, you don't need a job.
The purpose of government and representation is to serve the people. So, and it has turned into a job,
Sure.
unfortunately.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, when I'm gone, there's a generation after that and a generation after that, and to go, we can't stay on this track for even another decade, or I don't even know what the hell's going to happen. But
It would be way
can't.
easier to go. My parents, live in Florida, right? They spend time there. It'd be way easier to go to Florida, and you know what I mean,
good
and go
for
hang
you,
out
though.
on a beach and go do that. And you know what? I'm like, it's somebody else's problem.
Well,
It's somebody else's problem. You know what I mean?
you
it's somebody
got a
else's-
gift,
but it's not.
and you've been convicted to do it, man. So good for you guys for doing it, fighting the
Thank
fight,
you for helping
man.
spread
And
the
thank you for
message.
spreading the message and your time and your and your
for
hard
sure.
work for doing this and having us here.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Well, people, if you haven't caught on yet, as irrelevant as you might think you going to cast your vote early or on the date or whatever, man, do it. Go vote. Tag me in your little picture with your sticker to let me know you did it. You know what I mean? Make it a thing. I mean, it's something that it does matter. And a lot of you are going to go, oh, man, I don't think I've ever voted. That's easy too. I mean, everything is so easy, whether it's registering to vote, whether it's going to vote. It's just a matter of when we're 2 months down the road, don't say, oh, man, I never got out there and did it, because that's what a lot of us do, right? We procrastinate. Don't do it.
And even if you're
Just
not
do it.
doing it for yourself,
Doesn't matter.
do it for somebody else,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
Right? You're like, you know what? I'm doing pretty good right now. You know what I mean? I got my car and I got
Yeah.
my house and the kids are good. Go help your neighbor.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is in your position.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think that's it. The big misconception is that it doesn't matter. If you're watching this and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't even screw with politics. I can't believe I even stuck around for this long of it. Hey, I get that too. But if you didn't just see and feel either the passion from these guys or they should go to Hollywood, they're that good of actors if that wasn't legit. Then you just missed it and you need to rewatch it, because I think that's what we're missing, is somebody in a seat that matters, that actually gives a shit about the people that are the citizens, the community. You know what I mean? I think to have someone who your job is to go around and develop you want that personal involvement. It crushes you, but you want that lady to count on you to make things better. You know what I mean? And if people do what they're supposed to do, you're going to have the opportunity to do so. Right. And if you don't do it, I'm calling you guys out on that shit, just so you know.
And it hurt, and it has to hurt so you remember it.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
My heart has to break if we're going to remember it when we win.
Yeah.
Valid. It's gotta sting, man, or you
Yeah.
will forget it.
You guys are powerhouses, dude. I feel it. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come in here. I know, there's a lot of stops in the state. You guys have made a ton already. You probably got a ton more. Then you get to go kick around Cook County a little bit and rile things up there, which I wish you guys both the best of luck. Obviously, I'll keep pushing for people to get out there and vote. Yep. And you know what? And I'll say it. It doesn't matter. I do care, but it doesn't matter who you choose to vote for. Let's just make that part of life, right? If you want to make a difference, then you have to go to the polls. You have to vote. And damn it, if you vote for Pritzker and you've been in this state, then, or never mind, don't vote if you're not. No.
Yeah, remind me. Remember for those that are out there, it's March 17th. It's St.
we go.
Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Right. It's
Yeah.
March 17th, election day.
Yep.
Some people are like, oh, it's March 19th. When's election day? It's 2 days ago, man.
Yeah.
And it's also Darren's birthday, so let's throw him a big 60th
Oh,
on his same birthday.
baby. Yeah. All right. So will you guys find out on the 17th
Yep.
that who's the running
And here
in November, right?
And for you and for all of your viewers, we welcome you. We're having our election night party at the Crown Plaza in Springfield.
Okay.
You're welcome to come bring your equipment. If you want to record, you want to do anything, you're welcome to
On the
come in.
17th?
Yep, and it's going to probably kick off right after polls at 7 o'clock. We probably get the results around, in this primary around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
All right.
So
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
It'll be good. You guys are
There'll be
welcome
a
to
lot
come.
of press there.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
and we'll get you credentials and all the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
of stuff too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, again, I sure appreciate you guys. Hey, again, everyone watching, do your part. That's all we can do. We're really quick and easy to complain about how when things go bad. We're quick to post something that we see that the governor did or somebody locally did. Well, when you know that you're in charge of who's sitting in that seat, it does matter. So you are responsible, just like I am, and like all of us. So go vote. Thanks for joining me and these gentlemen on this episode of Beyond Business. If you haven't yet, please smash that subscribe button. Follow us on all your social media platforms that you follow so you can keep in tune with what we do. Until next time, be kind to each other. Thank you. Boom.
Thank you again, man. I thought it was